So in today's video, we're going to talk about how we were able to generate 500,000 plus clicks and 33 million impressions to this one website over about a 16-month period. And a lot of it came by way of a concept called mind mapping. Mind mapping is a way to plan out all of your content creation in a way that makes sense for Google, in a way that covers all of your main topics and helps you reach that topical authority level that we always talk about in Google. So today I'm going to show you that process and what it looks like and how we go about doing it and how it's still extremely effective in 2024 and beyond, honestly. And the best part is we're able to leverage AI like never before. So we can create way more content and increase our content velocity at a much higher rate without sacrificing quality, which is fantastic. So without further ado, the first thing you're going to need is you go over to, there's a lot of different resources, but I like to use Canva. They have a free version that would work perfectly well for this. I have the pro version just because it has a few extra bells and whistles. You can use more stock imagery and things like that. But essentially, you're just going to hit create a mind map, and it's going to take you to this blank screen here. So essentially for this process, it's going to look very similar to this example here. So this is from the Content Marketing Institute. And this is an example of a mind map for writing a blog on content marketing. So the way you'd structure it typically is you're going to have your top level topics, your hub pages, and those would be all of the high level stuff. Like, okay, let's take in this case, right? So we have CMI topics, and then it branches out into content distribution and social media, right? So then from there, we're going to have content that targets those different distribution channels and social media channels, most likely. Same thing when you look up here, we have B2B versus B2C, which comes from the branch, it looks like, of creating content. So the way they have this kind of divvied out is they have content creation, they have the strategy cluster, they have a success cluster, they have content distribution cluster. And that's how you would structure it for really any website. So let's say that you have a foundation repair company and you're trying to reach topical authority for all the different foundation topics. If it's a niche like that where you're maybe not so familiar, like I'm pretty familiar with marketing, the marketing niche itself, so I could probably come up with topics on my own fairly easily, but we have amazing AI that can help us with this. And especially if you're working in niches that you're not super familiar with, it's incredibly helpful to leverage AI, and it'll give you a sense of what that mind map really should look like. So the first thing you do is you go into, let's say, ChatGPT, could be Claude as well, but I typically would start with ChatGPT for this, and you'd say, provide a detailed topical cluster, or provide a detailed topical mapping for the foundation repair niche. This should cover all topics related to foundation repairs, as well as all of the LSI keywords. LSI keywords are those semantically related keywords. Basically, this will help you cover the little long tail topics that are within foundation repair. So you tell it to look for those, as well as all of the LSI keywords and any other relevant subtopics. The goal is to help a website reach topical authority, and we'll see what it provides us initially here. So you see it says to create a detailed topical map for the foundation repair niche, we'll break down the core topics, subtopics, and related terms. So this is basically repeating what we just fed to it. And we can see here, so we have the core topic of foundation repair, which is really our main topic for a foundation repair company. So we have signs your home needs foundation repair, types of foundation repairs, cost of foundation repairs, how foundation repairs work, DIY foundation repair pros and cons. And then you can go within each of these, you can delve into each of these subtopics and talk to ChatGPT, tell it to give you more subtopics, right? So you can say, expand on the first core topic, give me more subtopics of that. And you could just keep building this out, but this is pretty thorough here. So you can see that we have foundation repair as the first one, types of foundations as the second one. We have common foundation problems as the third one, so cracks, moisture damage, so forth. And from all these topics, not only are we getting topics to write about, but we're understanding how the internal linking structure should look, because these are basically all within the same cluster, right? So we have all the problem type topics would be internally linking to one another. And really from an internal linking standpoint, the goal with this whole process, especially for a service-based business like this, the goal is to not only link between the blog topics themselves, but then to link up to those main service pages. For example, we have this topic on foundation cracks, foundation settlement. We have a topic on moisture and water damage. Those should all be linking to the corresponding service page, as well as linking to one another in a way that makes sense. You don't want to make it sound too obvious that you're trying to just shove an internal link into the mix. But if you can find a good anchor text where it makes sense within the flow of the content, then by all means, that's a really good way to send the Googlebot through your website and get everything crawled and help it make sense, help your website make more sense for Google at the end. So we can see this is a very good start. There's a lot of subtopics here. ChatGPT goes very thorough because we asked it to. We said, give us all relevant topics that are related to the foundation repair niche. So this is probably above and beyond ultimately what we would need. But you can see here at the bottom, this is also useful, right? So it gives us the LSI keywords and phrases that we might want to include as well. And we can use this to basically inspire some of our keyword research on these topics. So super useful. What I would then do, like I was saying, is I would start to go in and expand on these a little further. So I know that foundation repairs is our number one topic. So I'd say expand on core topic 1. Provide many more subtopics in that cluster. Okay, and here we go. So we have warning signs of foundation problems. So some of this bleeds into the other clusters because we did have a cluster on foundation problems. But you can go through here and see if there's any keyword potential, right? You can see obviously search volume. You can see if there's anything from a buyer intent standpoint that would be important to include. Maybe it has some CPC, cost per click behind it. That can tell you that there's commercial intent there. And then of course you want to dig into your competitors as well. You want to see, are they mentioning these topics? Are these relevant in my area and that kind of thing. Overall, this works great for any business. Obviously, the result I showed you over here was from a B2B SaaS company. So much different than foundation repair, but we've also done it on foundation repair and a lot of local businesses like that, local movers and things like that. So it works very effectively, really, regardless for the most part of what industry you're dealing with. So then what you would do is you go to your mind map here, your blank kind of area here in Canva, and you would just start creating, essentially plotting these out, right? So let's go back. This is a little easier to follow, I think, this first section. So let's go back up to here, and we're gonna say our first, go to elements, like that. So our first core topic was foundation repair. So let's do foundation repair. And the nice thing here is you can click on these arrows. So if we're adding to this main topic here, just hit the down arrow, and that's gonna create basically a connection here, and you can move it around. It's really useful that way. So you basically can plot out all of your subtopics like this. So you can do that. You can do another subtopic here. You can do, and so forth, right? You can just have all of your kind of cluster topics down here. And then from here, you might have subtopics that branch down from there. It works great with location pages and service areas. So if you have different service areas for your business, for your local business, you want to have Los Angeles and then all the different cities within Los Angeles County, right? Yeah, county level page and then all the cities within that. So it can be really useful. I'm a visual person, so I like looking at this kind of thing versus writing everything down. And essentially Claude works the same way. So I typically use chat for this, but Claude also works really well. And Claude, in my opinion, is a much better engine when it comes to actually writing the content. So when you go to actually create the AI content, that's when Claude steps in and really helps out, in my opinion. Now let's say we have all this content mapped, right? Let's say we want to start writing this. We've been using SEOwriting.ai. It's a fantastic tool. It's getting better by the day. One-click blog post. You'd enter your main keyword. So let's say the main keyword is, what is foundation repair? And I think I've shown how to do this a few times. So you can go back and watch some of those videos, but essentially you can generate a title. We usually end up changing that, so it's not a big deal. You choose the article size, so you can do small, medium. Typically I'll do medium because with AI content, even good AI content, you can end up with repetition. So if you make the content bigger from the start, you're able to then edit it down accordingly, and you're not going to end up with nothing. You can edit it down to maybe a little more than half the size, and it's still going to be about 1,500 to 2,000 words. So that's really typically what we do. For the model, we typically use Claude 3 Opus. Sometimes we'll use Chat 4 128K Turbo. I think Claude 3 Opus is a little better. It is costlier. It uses up more generations on your account, so you'll probably have to upgrade your account accordingly if you start using this a lot. But the quality is amazing, and it's going to save you a lot of time on editing, which ultimately saves you money. indirectly. So really important to do that. Select your target country. They have a bunch on here, so you should find yours pretty easily. Language is pretty similar too. You can even choose different dialects. Say English, you're doing Australian English, Canadian English. You can choose accordingly there, which is nice. Tone of voice, typically I'll do friendly, casual, sometimes professional, but I think that can come off a little bit not super authentic. So yeah, typically we'll do friendly. And then any detail. So if it's for a brand, you say this is for a foundation repair company based in Los Angeles, California, right? You can do AI images. I would shy away from it for most niches. It might work if you're like in a B2B SaaS, but for a local business, I wouldn't use it at all. I would use photos of the crews, of the employees, of whoever, real people doing the work. I think that's super important. Google wants to see that authenticity. Photos taken on an iPhone at the site. Obviously, they're like geotagged, right, with the location because you took them on your iPhone. Google's able to understand all that stuff now to an extent. So that, I think that stuff's really key for local. Yeah, for this example, we'll do none. Sometimes I'll do YouTube videos. I'll at least turn on yes for YouTube videos because you never know. They can give you some okay videos sometimes that make sense. You got to be a little careful though, because sometimes they can use your competitors. It's AI, so AI can screw up and do that. I check it to yes usually. And then for the NLP keyword generation, this is very similar to what I was saying with the semantically related keywords. So you can just let it do its thing, but you can also add. So if you look here and you say, okay, we're writing this topic. We are writing this topic, provide a thorough list of secondary and semantically relevant terms to include. So now it's going to give us basically that, right? It's going to give us all these secondary keywords, semantically relevant terms. So these are all the terms that we probably want to include in some of the sections within the content. We want to talk about expansive soil. We want to talk about concrete slab, all these things that are highly relevant, foundation stabilization, right? And so forth. So you could grab that, you could throw it in here, super easy to do. You can typically structure it with a question, or you can do a stat, like it can pull a statistic up, which can be good. You just have to make sure that it's properly sourced and all that. And then for the actual structure beyond that, I leave the conclusion on, get rid of italics and bolds, get rid of quotes usually, because the quotes can be random. Sometimes I'll leave key takeaways on, and then I'll usually leave the rest on. It gives you a lot of FAQs. So typically we'll get rid of some of the FAQs. We'll go with 3 to 5, but it can give you a bunch, sometimes upwards of 8 or 10. Usually we trim that down a bit. External linking, I set this to automatic usually. It can link out to relevant sources that way. Not always, but sometimes it can be pretty good that way. Connect to the web. So typically we'll do a deep web. So it's going to pull information from a lot of different websites. This helps you write better content overall, in my opinion. And it gives you something that's easier to, what's the term I'm looking for? Easier to read and easier to rank for ultimately, but it's pulling information from real sources, which is super important for users and for Google. So then you would just go up and you would hit run. I don't want to do that because it's very expensive to run this. So we're going to pretend like it ran. And then we would go over to Page Optimizer Pro, which is another tool I've been using. And Page Optimizer Pro is great because you can plug in content that you haven't even built a page for yet, and it will help you optimize that content further. So let's say we have our draft from SEO writing. We would then copy it and essentially plug it into Page Optimizer. You'd enter your main keyword. So it'd be, what is foundation repair, whatever our keyword is. We'd say, I haven't built this page yet, and then basically run it. It's going to give you a score. You want to be careful with the score. I think nowadays it's less important to get 100% on these. Like same with Surfer. This is a very similar tool to Surfer, but I think it's a little bit less expensive than Surfer. I prefer this tool personally. And there's a link in the description if you want to try it. But I'd be a little careful with over optimizing these days. I think it's better to just keep it around the anywhere between 60 and 80% range. Now, if it's just naturally optimized, like sometimes you'll plug it in from the AI writing tool and it'll be 90% already. That's not the end of the world. As long as it reads well and you have all the information in there that you feel like is important for users, don't worry about it too much. But all I'm saying is don't make it your whole purpose to get it up to 90 and 100. That's not really the point of this. The point is to just make sure you're mentioning all the relevant semantic terms, secondary keywords, making sure that you're giving Google the full context of your page, because ultimately they're going to use all that information to factor in to start ranking you. Yeah, that's basically it. And so once we run that, then we upload it on the site, easy peasy. And you work through all of your topics. And it's obviously, this is a process for SEO content writing that is constantly evolving thanks to AI. AI obviously makes it a lot easier, as you can tell, but you can just keep building out these clusters and dig deeper and deeper into these subtopics and make sure you're getting all the topical coverage that you need. This is really a great way to, yeah, build out a website, to not have to stress yourself too much about building backlinks. Not to say that backlinks aren't important by any means. I think starting with this and getting that content base down is important for most businesses. I think that's really what moves the needle in this era of search engine optimization. So like, subscribe, do all those things, and we will see you next time.